Hi friends, today I wanted to share a few simple homemaking habits that we're working on to help prepare for whatever the future may bring us. Preparing for hard times doesn't always mean making big purchases or changing your entire lifestyle. More often, it's the simple, everyday choices that add up over time. Learning to cook from scratch, growing even a little of your own food, and making the most of the space you have are all skills that can serve your family well. Today, I'm experimenting with homemade Pop-Tarts using fresh milled flour. If you've ever baked with fresh milled flour, you know there's definitely a learning curve, especially when you're adapting recipes that were written for store-bought flour. I'm also harvesting our garlic and a few other things from the garden, finding a simple way to cure the garlic even without a basement or extra garage space, and getting ready to start growing microgreens again. None of these things are complicated on their own, but together they help build a home that's a little more resilient, a little more self-sufficient, and a little more prepared. So come spend the day with me. If you've been watching my channel at all, you know that one of the things we've been trying to do more of is convert some of my favorite recipes to use fresh milled flour whenever it makes sense to do so. It isn't always a perfect one-to-one swap, unfortunately, and that's okay. There's definitely a learning curve, but every recipe teaches us something new. If you're new to fresh milled flour, it's simply flour that's ground right before you use it. Because the whole grain is still there, you're getting the bran, the germ, and the endosperm instead of just part of the grain. We like using it because it helps us incorporate more whole grains into our meals while still enjoying foods our family already loves. And one of the reasons we choose fresh milled flour is for the nutrition. Freshly milled whole grains retain naturally occurring vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, fiber, and the grain's proteins, which are made up of amino acids. While fresh milled flour isn't a complete protein on its own, it's one simple way we can include more of the nutrients that are naturally found in the grain before they're reduced through the refining and long storage. If you've been thinking about getting into fresh milled flour, I use the Nutrimill grain mill and I've really enjoyed it. It's definitely a workhorse in my kitchen. I'll leave my affiliate link with a discount code in the description below if you'd like to check it out. It doesn't cost you anything extra and it helps support my channel. So thank you if you choose to use it. I will also be putting the recipe to this down in the description box below, but I will let you know that I did add one stick less of butter and probably about a quarter to a third a cup more of water for this, and I'll be showing you why shortly. I've definitely learned that recipes written for store-bought flour don't always behave the same way with fresh milled flour. The fresh flour tends to absorb moisture differently, so sometimes you have to adjust as you go and give it time to absorb. Usually around 15 minutes is what I do. And so that's just another reason I always encourage people not to get discouraged if a recipe doesn't turn out perfectly the first time. And this is, I believe, the second time I'm showing you this recipe on my channel, and that's because I'm having mom brain and I totally forgot that this is the exact recipe I've done before. And as I was making it, I had the epiphany and I was like, yes, I said next time I would do XYZ. So I'm doing that here. And I do enjoy experimenting. Every time I make a recipe, I learn a little more about how the dough feels, how much liquid is needed, or how it bakes. Eventually, you start recognizing those patterns, and it becomes much easier to adapt recipes without following them exactly. And what I really love is that this isn't about perfection, it's about building your skill set. The more recipes you practice, the more confidence you're going to have in the kitchen, and that's a skill that benefits your family for years to come. So I added just enough water so that it would all come together, but even as I'm letting it sit, it's going to be absorbing this water and it does come out quite crumbly. I will show you that. So I do end up doing a little bit like water on my hands that you'll notice to kind of not really add extra water, but to get it to where it's not just crumbling while I'm trying to roll it out. But it is definitely more along the lines of a brick, as you'll notice on my face here. So it was definitely needing more moisture. And one of the things I appreciate about homemaking is that there's always learning, whether it's baking bread, preserving food, gardening, or learning to cook with fresh milled flour, there is always something new to figure out. I don't think we ever really arrive at a point where we know everything, and I actually enjoy that part of the process because I am a nerd at heart and I really do enjoy learning. So I am just putting water on my hands and I am trying to get this to not be such a hard brick. But with adding that extra moisture, it did become a sticky dough. So I do end up adding some all-purpose flour to my counter and the rolling pin. I also think there's something encouraging about seeing recipes that don't go exactly as planned. Sometimes on social media, it can look like everyone gets perfect results every single time, but that's rarely how learning actually works. Most of us are adjusting, tasting, making notes, and trying again. My goal isn't to make everything from scratch just for the sake of saying I did it. It's about choosing small ways to add more nourishment to the foods we eat. If I can take a family favorite and make it with fresh milled flour, that's a simple change that adds up over time. It's also one more skill that makes our home a little more resilient. The more comfortable we become cooking with basic ingredients, the less dependent we are on convenience foods. We can adapt recipes to what we have on hand, which I've shown you before, use ingredients we've stored, and make meals from scratch when we need to. As you can see, this is really a labor of love, but I feel much better with my children having a homemade sugary treat without all the preservatives in it than if I was to buy these boxed at the grocery store. If you've been thinking about trying fresh milled flour, don't wait until you know everything. Pick one recipe your family already enjoys and start there. I know that I bought my grain mill probably a year or two before I actually started using it. So it's been in my kitchen for quite a while. And it probably won't be perfect the first time, and that's completely normal. Every batch teaches you something. And so over time, those little lessons will build confidence. And before you know it, you'll have a collection of recipes that work well for your family and your kitchen. As you can imagine, these were an absolute hit with my children. They barely lasted a day. So, but we are a family of seven, five children, and they all gobbled this down. Why are they orange? Because they are a rainbow variety. Okay, James, you want to pick the two orange ones? Or you guys each pick one? Okay, don't get the other ones. Okay, go.
These are ripe.
Are they ripe?
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat it. Oh, I didn't mean. Come on, take a bite, ding dong. Can I see it? Can you just? Is that good? Oh my gosh. Did you like it, James?
Mm-hmm.
This time of year, I love seeing all of the little harvests starting to come in. Some days it's just a handful of herbs, a few tomatoes, or a cucumber, and other days it's something bigger like this garlic here. You'll notice that on my garlic, it is not looking the best, so I have actually been putting off on harvesting it because I was a little scared what my yield would be. And this first one kind of was what I was thinking it would be like. But as I was going through them, I saw more and more that were very good size. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. As you can see, the weeds and the volunteer oregano have definitely taken over, but I did end up with quite a bit of good sized garlic. I did, however, end up with some really odd, almost like onion type of garlic. I think there were two stalks that I pulled up that were funky like that. So if you know what causes that, let me know in the comments below. I have not had a chance to research it quite yet. I think it's too easy for us to compare our gardens to someone else's and feel like we're not producing enough. But every harvest matters. Even these small, everyday harvests mean fresh food for our family, fewer trips to the grocery store, and another opportunity to learn. With this garlic now comes the curing process. We don't have a basement or a large garage, so like many things in homemaking, we work with what we have. I'm using a simple pop-up table outside and covering it with a sheet to provide some shade while still allowing good airflow. It may not be the perfect setup, but it works for our space. And this section of our house gets morning and evening sun, so the bulk of the day it is in the shade, but I'm trying to weigh it down because I don't know if you noticed, but we have a lot of wind living up here on the ridge, and lots of our stuff likes to go flying. So here I am, just trying to make sure that doesn't happen, and it hasn't so far, thankfully. The next thing I'm going to be working on is getting my setup for my microgreens going again. It's been probably a couple years since I've done all of this, so I'm gathering all of the supplies, getting the shelves ready, and hoping that these older seeds that are a couple years old still have some good germination rate in them. And if not, it'll just be a good excuse to order some fresh new seeds. And what gardener doesn't like ordinary ordering seeds? This cocoa core, I am currently, as I am voice recording this, trying to get this to actually absorb water, and it's been a good hour or so, and it is still not. So hopefully I can get that to you shortly of how my microgreens are going in the next video, just because they are such a powerhouse packed full of nutrients, and I personally am not enjoying learning about what our lettuces and such are actually prepped and sprayed and gassed with. So if you haven't heard about that, look it up or leave a comment and I will see what I can link for you. But it's been all over the news. So I'm sure if you're watching this channel, you may have heard about it. But I am going to go back to old school of fresh greens at home. However, in the middle of summer when it's 90 to 100 degrees outside, my lettuce doesn't like me so much. So drop a comment below if you have some heat tolerant greens that you think I can use. So I personally feel like I keep my setup pretty simple. I have my trays, I do have my grow light that I will show you again, and a few bricks from the backyard to add a little weight while the seeds are getting established. And then this wooden press I actually won. It was a wonderful little gift from a microgreen course that I have taken previously several years ago, but it does help gently or roughly flatten everything down so the seeds have good contact with the growing medium, which in this instance is the cocoa core. And this right here was over an hour after the fact, and it's still, as I am putting it into the trays, I am still breaking up the clumps. It still feels pretty cardboard-like, pretty dry. So I am getting the water out as I'm scooping it, like, 'cause you don't want it sopping wet to where mold is going to grow on your microgreens. There has to be that balance. So, but I don't know if this is actually going to retain any moisture. But I swear this is what I have used in the past when I did microgreens. Let me know in the comments what you guys use. If you have something better that's also economical, because buying a seed starting mix is not cheap. And if I'm going to be doing this quite a bit for myself and potentially for my community again, I did used to sell these. I would like an economical option. So I know that I said I'm doing this because I'm really concerned about what is being sold in stores. Unfortunately, that probably doesn't mean I'll never buy from the grocery store again. But whenever I feel like I can try and replace even a small portion of what we buy with something we've grown ourselves, I consider that a win. It's fresh, it's convenient, and it gives me a little more peace of mind about what I'm feeding my family. So I really hope that this is going to be a good idea. And like so many things in homemaking, this doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. I used to think that that was what I had to do in a lot of different aspects of my life. So, knowing that every tray of microgreens, every jar of sprouts, if we do those, and every small step toward growing more of our own food is another skill that we are building and another way we're investing in our family's health and resilience. Mom brain strikes again. As you can see, it says 280 grams, and I read it as I was doing this as 180 grams. Oh, Lord Almighty. Now I know why, when I was doing this, it didn't feel like there was quite enough peas on there. So live and learn. I'm not going to go back out there and fix it, nor did I soak them. I don't remember ever soaking them before, but again, poor germination, we shall see. Again, experiment, we shall see. And on this one, I'm going to do the slow bolt arugula that my kids love. They love the little spiciness that comes with it. And I am doing extra as I am pouring here, thinking that I may need extra, but I still didn't end up using all of it. I am just, sprinkling it out all over and trying to get to the corners as best I can. I didn't feel like wasting any of the seed though, so that's why I do end up putting some of it back into its bag. I really do hope that this video encourages you to take one small step toward a more intentional home, whether that's trying fresh mown flower, growing a few herbs, starting microgreens, or simply using what you already have. Remember, homemaking isn't about doing everything at once. It's about making small, consistent choices that nourish your family and build skills over time. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to subscribe and leave a comment letting me know one homemaking habit you're working on right now. And I'll see you in the next video, friends. Bye.